Good morning. This is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden, and welcome to Meditation for Beginners. We're going to go ahead and focus on opening your heart to love and trust today. So take a deep breath in and out. And always start the first few minutes of meditation making yourself comfortable, allowing yourself this time for you, pushing out everything else away from you, and giving yourself the mental space to do this for yourself. Deep breath in and out. When we are traumatized, when we are abused, we instinctively develop an, a reservation to trust people, allow them close to us. And what ends up happening as a result is we cultivate fear and we cultivate a lifestyle and a mindset that focuses on protection and safety rather than love and living and experience. And when you start to focus more on safety and preserving yourself, you stop living and your entire life unfolds focused on keeping you safe based out of fear. You end up living a life in fear rather than living it in love. You miss out on opportunities, you withhold yourself, you put a glass ceiling over your head, and you put yourself into a box. It is equivalent to bunker living, as if you were in a war zone and you literally create yourself a mental bunker. This becomes the norm and it results in mental illness, depression, negativity, and isolation. To reverse the effects, you have to get yourself comfortable in your comfort zone, soothe yourself, ground and recharge, and then step from your comfort zone into your growth zone, slowly and carefully when you are ready, giving yourself a limited dose of discomfort as you expose yourself to good people, healthy people. Taking a circle of trust with you and boundaries and resources is exactly the proper way to start putting yourself back out there again. Think of it, I love this analogy, very much as an RPG video game where you have your, or an adventuring game where you have your home base, which is your comfort zone, your safety, and you want to go exploring and adventuring, but you have to stock up on potions, stock up on food and supplies. Once you're stocked up with resources, you can venture back into your growth zone. Many of us lack resources, which is why we were injured. Many of us lack this concept, which is why most of us end up in the dark forbidden zone, the dark abyss, the fear zone. That's where trauma occurs. And instead of coming back to your comfort zone, we bunker down and we get stuck in the fear zone. You're actually not at all in your comfort zone. You are, when you are in a trauma mindset, you are actually in a bunker, in a little hole or a cave that you found in the war zone. So when you start to do self care, you are actually pulling yourself out of that bunker and you're putting yourself in a kind of genie bottle, your comfort zone, and you are making yourself a self care cocoon. And the goal of this is to recharge and ground yourself, to soothe and comfort the fear, and to provide yourself with the resources to go back in. Once you have the resources and you're charged back up, then you can step back into the growth zone. Into the growth zone, there's adventure, there's excitement, there's energy, there's opportunity to learn, there's friendships, there's loved ones. But when you feel yourself drained, that's when you're supposed to go back to the growth zone, soothe, recharge. Now, after a while, you get used to venturing out. And what happens is the growth zone becomes your comfort zone. It's a great thing when that happens. And you can actually take your comfort zone with you as you venture into the growth zone. Some of us venture out too far, we get to that fear zone, and then we have to fall back to the comfort zone, recharge, recuperate. And then we head back out again. And that's how you properly grow. That's how you manage life on a healthy basis. That way you remove yourself from the bunker, you remove yourself from any limitations that you put on yourself. But you need to be aware of this process so that you can better manage it. So, for this exercise, for this meditation, we're going to focus on opening your heart to love and trust. That way, when you step into the growth zone, you know what to look for, what emotions to tap into, and how to utilize the growth zone best to your advantage to get you out of the bunker. So, deep breath in. And deep breath in. And out. Expand your heart up, your chest open, and roll your shoulders back and try and pull your shoulders back slightly and put out your chest. It starts there by physically reversing the slouching in the in. Our bodies are extraordinary in this way. When our mindset is closed off, our bodies close off. When we reverse it in our mindset, when we start by opening up our chest, putting our shoulders back, putting our heads up, it reverses the process. And if you're not used to it, it's going to feel very vulnerable at first. Vulnerability is the core ingredient to human connection. You cannot connect with another human being without being vulnerable. The problem is your vulnerability was used as a weapon against you. So open up your chest. And like I said, we're going to talk about the circle of trust. We're going to talk about how to properly use trust so that you're not giving it to the wrong people. It's the wrong people who hurt you. It's not people, it's the wrong people. And learning how to tell the difference is a huge part of keeping yourself safe. And it is a learned skill. Deep breath in from the chest, from all the way down the belly of your gut, the gut of your belly. And exhale. Deep breath in. And out. Deep breath in. And out. Whenever I do any of my meditation exercises, I listen to 95 hertz. This is a frequency that is renowned for growing your hippocampus. Your hippocampus is a walnut-sized part of your brain, almost in the dead center of your brain, and it shrinks when you have trauma. It literally keeps you stupid. When you grow your hippocampus, you get smarter, you get more educated. When you educate yourself, your hippocampus grows. When your hippocampus grows, you experience less emotional chaos from your amygdala. Grow your hippocampus, especially if you've been exposed to trauma. It is the difference between being able to manage your system versus maintaining a lifestyle like you're a 2 or a 3-year-old, because the hippocampus really is what it's all about when it comes to our maturity levels. It's the hippocampus. Most of our society, especially fourth perspective thinkers, have a regular sized to small hippocampus, which is why a lot of adults act like children, is because they have a small hippocampus. Which is why when you get into higher educated people, they act more mature, is because the hippocampus is enlarged for them because they've educated themselves. Mathematics, memorization, learning another language, Sudoku, math puzzles, geometry, philosophy, thinking, memorizing script, any kind of memorization. What you are really doing is growing your hippocampus. And when your hippocampus is larger, your amygdala cannot function and dump out emotional chaos as easily because your hippocampus manages the amygdala properly. So, 7 minutes a day with the 95 hertz frequency, this is called the theta wave, that actually grows your hippocampus. Couple that with art, creativity, couple that with reading books, memorization, learning a language, mathematics, Sudoku, crossword puzzles, anything like that for brain stimulation will also increase your hippocampus. Do it. Deep breath in and out. And now the words, I accept love and trust. I embrace my vulnerability. I embrace my vulnerability. My vulnerability is a gift. And exhale. I embrace my vulnerability. I accept my vulnerability. Okay, now we're going to do some box breathing. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Deep breath in and out. A circle of trust is a cocoon, it's a barrier around you. And either people are inside your circle of trust or they are not. It is really black and white. A lot of people do not have a circle of trust, especially if you have been traumatized. The circle of trust is absolutely created off of our boundaries. If you are not used to setting boundaries or enforcing, maintaining boundaries, you are not going to have a circle of trust. The circle of trust consists of you in the dead center, and this is the place that is just you. When you sit down to meditate and I say push everything out, I'm actually telling you to push out everything within your circle of trust. It should just be you in that dead center. That is what I refer to as the genie's bottle. That is that dead, gorgeous center where it's your safe place. This is your absolute self care cocoon. It should be a place of grounding, it should be a place of comfort, it should have a place where you are basically accessing all of the grounding things such as plants. Okay, I'm a Taurus, so I'm going to talk like a Taurus here. It's artwork, it's earth tones, it's tactiles, it's fuzzy, cozy blankets, it's tea, it's hot chocolate, it's cats and it's dogs, it's nature, it's elements, it's the things you smell, it's the things you feel, it's the things you see, it's the things you love. When you surround yourself with all of these things, you build yourself a cocoon, a self care cocoon. This should be your bedroom. Candles, incense, weed, and it is very much your comfort place. When done right, it will ground you and recharge you at the same time. Meditation is a fantastic way to tap into your self care cocoon. And then journaling, gratitude, journaling about your bucket list, your visions, your missions, your dreams, all of those are fantastic methods to bring all of that into place. Now, you should not have more than a handful of people within the most intimate parts of you. Now, you in general, your sanctuary really needs to be reserved for just you. Everyone needs a solid place where they can be alone with themselves, because when you are alone with yourself, you actually have like 5 other people in there with you. Let me introduce you to your ego, your identity, your intuition, and your subconscious mind. So that's 4 people, 4 actual people living inside of your entire system. And we think we are one, and we are not. We are 4. We, again, I'm going to go over it again, have your identity, your ego, your intuition, and your subconscious mind. And every now and then, your subconscious mind decides to bring a buddy along called the fear system. Now, likewise, identity has her buddy, which is the defense system. So technically, at times, you've got 6 people crammed into your little space here. That is not alone. You've got a system that is not alone. And this system requires management, communication, and awareness. That is all I do with the Healing Garden, is I teach you who these people are and how to manage them. It is the neglect of these people that causes trauma, that causes an unbalanced life, misalignment, and emotional chaos. Once you realize that you have these 4 to 6 people crammed into your personality and all of you, and you start to spend time with them and manage them, especially through meditation, especially through journaling, you realize that it becomes a regular practice for you, a requirement to spend alone time with them so you can manage everybody. So to bring a loved one or a partner into this space really takes away from the management of the self. And you cannot have a functioning, healthy life if you're not taking time out for just these 4 to 6 people. There is a lot involved in an individual. The circle of trust consists of the genie bottle and the center that is your space. And then outside of that, that is where you would put your intimate lover, your loved one, your VIP person. This is where your partner would sit, or your partners. And you really should not be bringing them into your genie bottle. A lot of people make this mistake. And what ends up happening is, if you're bringing them into that intimate space of your genie bottle, you are not able to put all of your attention and priority into your system. You then prioritize these people's over your system. One cannot have two masters. And that's what a lot of people do is they prioritize the lovers and they put the lovers into the genie bottle, and then they're not doing the work they need, because you need alone time with identity, intuition, subconscious minds, and your defense system. You need that alone time. You need alone time with your fear system to turn that fear system off. Your circle of trust are people who you scanned them for red flags. You decided and identified whether or not they have red flags. You've evaluated them for safety. You've determined that if you were to give them your vulnerable side, that they would handle it with care. Then they are allowed into your circle of trust. That's what should be happening. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people let everybody into their circle of trust, and that's when we get hurt. A lot of people invite bad people into their circle of trust. They have no boundaries. They have no circle of trust. They allow anyone to just walk up and get into the genie bottle. And that's where mental illness comes from. That's where trauma occurs. That's where abuse happens. So if you have that genie bottle and then you have your circle of trust and then you boundary off everything with boundaries, you preserve your genie bottle, you preserve your circle of trust, and you let only a select few people into that most intimate place of you. That is where your vulnerability sits. Now, outside of that, you have another circle where, let's call it the friendship space. And that is where people have passed the vulnerability stages. They're definitely trustworthy, but they don't get your intimacy. That's where a lot of friendships and platonic relationships sit. Outside of that, I like to call this area the evaluation circle. And that's where you've got acquaintances, you have them at a massive distance while you evaluate them. Me personally, I put evaluations through 2 years. No one is allowed close to me until I get to monitor them for 2 years. The reason why I say 2 years is because after 3 months, that's when they're not capable of any masks. But you have to have X amount of hours to go through that kind of evaluation. And if you see them sporadically, it can take up to 2 years to get the full 3 month exposure timeline that you need. Now, if you see them often, like for an intimate partner, now that's going to go faster, which is why at that 3 month mark, that is when a person goes nuclear, so to speak. And that's when they surprise you with their hidden subconscious mind's ethics. And suddenly you're caught with somebody who you're romantically and intimately involved with. They're in your vulnerable space, and they are a narcissist, or they are codependent, or they have an addiction. That is when all that comes out 3 months in. So if you give that 2 year barrier and allow them to just stay in the evaluation stage for 2 years before bringing them into your intimacy, it allows you to evaluate what it is you're dealing with and whether or not it's somebody you want to date, whether or not it's somebody you want to invite into your circle. And then once you do that, you have a better idea what you're dealing with. You get hurt almost not at all because you've evaluated the individuals. The problem we run into is we are lonely and we are impatient. And when we are lonely and impatient and we're starved because of scarcity, we grab anyone who will have us and put them right into our circle. And that causes repeat pain, repeat abuse, repeat toxic relationships. That's exactly why. And then we never get the human connection we desire because we're not giving them the vulnerability to somebody who actually knows how to use it properly. I will be covering how to use vulnerability properly and what is supposed to be taking place. Basically, it's sharing, but it's sharing your vulnerability. It's sharing your gentle side and your tenderness, and that creates human connection. Now, you can give, and then you're supposed to receive. It's supposed to be a channel where it's back and forth. But in the case of the avoidant, you could be dumping and pouring, and they're not giving anything. So that's something else you need to be looking for before you invite them into the circle of trust. Choose wisely. So again, open up your chest and breathe. And out. And in. And out. One more. In and out. The Healing Garden focuses on mental wealth, not mental health. There is a huge difference. In my videos, I explain the difference. I offer a handbook to the subconscious mind's guide and how to use it. It is not at all mental health, it is mental wealth. And by providing basic instructions to what the subconscious mind is and how to use it to your advantage and to actually navigate life with your subconscious mind, it's a game changer. It is absolutely blowing mental health out of the water. It's something completely different. If you are interested to learn more about mental wealth or the user's handbook for owning a subconscious mind, how to nurture it, how to feed it properly before you adopt a subconscious mind, go ahead and take a look at the link below and go to www.anashealinggarden.org. Take a look at Design Your Journey. I get into all of that there, where you can learn more about what mental wealth is and how to access your own handbook for the subconscious mind, learning everything there is to know about the subconscious mind and how to use it. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.